Connoisseur extraordinaire, Oz Clarke. Very warm welcome to the proms, Oz.
Thank you very much.
I know you as a wine man. I did not know you were a singer and a performer. When did you start singing?
I started long before I started on wine. I started at the age of 8. I was a Canterbury chorister. And I then went on at King's Canterbury. I had a choral scholarship to there. Went up to Oxford. Did the Schola Cantorum singing at Oxford. Then I went off and I did the Academy of St Martin's. I used to sing a bit with the Monteverdi Choir, John Eliot Gardner. I sang West End shows like Sweeney Todd. And then I sort of stopped. And that's a long, long time ago, and it's about time I got going again.
Good, quite right too. We have some fantastic choral music for you tonight. We have this wonderful Mozart, Exultate Jubilate, the Haydn Mass, the Fauré Requiem. Is there a particular highlight for you? I think you're really looking forward to hearing.
Well, I'm always looking forward to the Exultate. I think so much wonderful. How he gets so much stuff into 14 minutes, I don't know. But the Fauré Requiem I am looking forward to, because, of course, as a choir boy, I always wanted to sing the Pie Jesu. I was never chosen. They called me the Maria Callas of the choir at Canterbury.
You do know that as a choir boy, that's not a compliment to sing like Maria Callas. I mean, as an opera singer, it is. Were you wildly over the top?
Stephen Barker got all the solos, and I kept thinking, but I'm better. And I wasn't. But I wanted to give this in. We never did 19th century stuff at Canterbury. We had a whole long period of that tight cathedral music world of Gibbons and Tallis and all those people. The idea of doing the Fauré Requiem was almost too thrilling to believe for a 10 or 12-year-old boy. And when you heard the Pie Jesu, I'm going to have that. We might even have had a woman doing it. Good gracious.
Good gracious me. And we have a woman doing the Exultate Jubilate in the form of a fabulous soloist, Lucy Crowe, who told me earlier that she's quite nervous. I'm not that surprised. It's a full-on piece, this. It's a big sing.
It's an amazing thing. I remember Kirit Kanawar doing it a long time ago. And you just think, it is relentless. It's individualistic. It's bursting with challenging bits of music, but it's great tunes.
Let's see how she does. Oz, we'll catch up later. Thank you for now. So Mozart's Exultate Jubilate, a motet that he wrote 1773, just before his 17th birthday, written for the Italian festival. Haydn's Mass in Time of War, performed here at the 2016 BBC Proms by the soprano Lucy Crowe, the mezzo Paula Murray-Heath. The tenor was Robin Tritchler, the baritone Roderick Williams, as they give their applause for the players of the Orchestra of the Age of Enlightenment and the choir of King's College, Cambridge, conducted by their music director. He's been music director with the choir since 1982. It's Stephen Cleabury. Worth saying, Oz, that the timpanist in that performance, Adrian Bending, I thought did a cracking job. You can see why it was known as the Timpani Mass. I mean, it's one of those things where the guns are just approaching from far away.
From the first beat, Stephen Cleabury put his hands up and bang, in came the timpani. And it actually does blend and it doesn't dominate. I thought it was going to be a great timpani sort of fest, and it's not. I thought it was rather beautifully done altogether.
Well, Haydn himself was a chorister at St Stephen's Cathedral in Vienna from the age of 8. He had such a beautiful voice that apparently the choir master had him all lined up to be scheduled for the op to become a castrato. Fortunately, his father refused, and the world got a very fine composer instead, to the benefit of all of us, not just Haydn, I think. This choir, Oz, has such a global reputation for just the most beautiful sound. So you have boy choristers, they're aged between 9 and 13. Then you get the choral scholars, who are the undergrads at the college. Now, I know when you were singing at Canterbury, there is this sort of traditional rivalry, King's, Cambridge and Canterbury. Who's better?
Well, Canterbury quite clearly were better when I was there. We thought that the two great choirs were Canterbury and King's, and I think some years we had such a thrilling choir that we could have beaten anyone in the world, and it was competitive. When you were a 12-year-old choir boy, it's competitive, but year by year I've watched and listened to these guys every year, and I think Stephen Cleobury's done an astonishing job in keeping a consistent beauty and a smoothness of interpretation and expression year by year with completely different personnel every year.
I was going to say that is very difficult to handle, to have a bespoke, a sort of unique sound for your choir that is recognisably yours, and yet of course there's a changeover, turnover of personnel all the time.
Yeah, and certainly in the undergraduate lay Clarkes, there's some thrilling singers coming through there, which you meet them later on as soloists with enormous amount of personality in their voices, but when they're at King's, it sort of all gets subsumed into this King style, and I personally love it.
How would you define, as somebody who's been right at the centre of it, singing there at Canterbury, how do you define the English choral sound? It's a thing that's sort of loved around the world. What is it?
Well, for me, it's something to do with the way that the sound rises and fills through great transepts and great naves and great choirs in the cathedrals and churches in this country. It's something which we're very lucky to have such a strong tradition with. I think it's one of those sounds which gets it cuts across race, it cuts across age, it cuts across class. It's something which, if you just open your heart and open your mind, it's a thrilling chance to actually explore more of yourself and find a spirituality which even the most cynical person has got inside them somewhere.
Now, speaking of finding that moment and that depth within yourself, Stephen Cleobury does this. Is a very normal thing to do, that we've got a boy soprano solo coming up later. He has several people lined up. He'll choose who he wants. Did you ever get that moment in the spotlight, that solo moment where you had to step forwards? And what's it like? I mean, the pressure must be enormous.
Because I don't think he tells them before they start. He's got several lined up, and then suddenly he says, "You, Jones Minor, it's you."
Did you get the call?
Yes, once at Canterbury. We were doing a visual outside the west door, and one of us was going to sing Once in Royal David City, and I just thought, it won't be me, it's never me, not Maria Callas, they won't give it to me. And Alan Wicks said, "Clarke, it's you."
You got it!
And off I went, and I'm afraid I gave a rather bravura performance, but it's possibly quite a good way to do it, because a little boy, don't let them fret for too long, just say, "Off you go, Jones."
Let's see if it's Jones later. Oz, thank you. Well, speaking of star solos, we've already heard the wonderful voice of Lucy Crowe in Mozart and in that Haydn, one of this country's brightest singing